State of Cannabis.
This is the State of Cannabis News Digest, a roundup of this week's key developments in the cannabis industry.
Our top stories.
Ohio's proposed hemp regulations would impose a 15% tax on intoxicating hemp products, limit their sale to dispensaries, and prohibit misleading marketing tactics. A new Minnesota bill seeks to strengthen cannabis expungement laws, correcting legislative gaps that previously excluded some felony-level marijuana offenses from eligibility. A state audit calling for cannabis law reforms has been withdrawn after Oregon's Secretary of State determined it was compromised by conflicts of interest. Kentucky lawmakers have advanced controversial restrictions on THC-infused beverages, setting a 5 milligram THC cap and requiring liquor licenses. Colorado's cannabis enforcement faces legal scrutiny as a cultivator sues over alleged testing failures. A new bill in Maryland aims to protect firefighters and emergency responders who are registered medical cannabis patients.
And now here is the deeper look at the key events in the cannabis world this week.
This week in Colorado, tensions over cannabis regulation have intensified as lawmakers withdrew a controversial bill restricting THC potency, while a local cannabis company launched a legal battle against state regulators. Senate Bill 76, which aimed to cap THC levels in cannabis products and ban certain psilocybin edibles, was pulled after facing significant pushback from the industry and public advocates. The bill's sponsor, Senator Judy Almabil, cited concerns about marijuana's mental health effects, but acknowledged the measure lacked legislative support. Meanwhile, Mammoth Farms, a Colorado-based cannabis company, has filed a lawsuit against the state's Marijuana Enforcement Division, accusing regulators of failing to properly oversee product safety. The lawsuit claims that contaminated cannabis, including products containing methylene chloride, has entered the legal market due to lax testing standards. Mammoth Farms argues that the state's oversight failures endanger consumers and undermine legitimate businesses. If successful, the lawsuit could lead to a major overhaul of Colorado's cannabis regulatory system.
Cannabis testing is serious business, and having the right lab set up is key. Whether you're launching a new facility or upgrading an existing one, Coffee Pot Consulting provides the expertise you need. With over 15 years' experience of owning and operating independent cannabis laboratories, they can connect you with top industry specialists. Get started today at coffeepotconsulting.com.
Kentucky's House has approved new restrictions on hemp-derived THC beverages, advancing Senate Bill 202 with a 77-17 vote. The legislation caps THC content at 5 milligrams per 12-ounce serving, moves regulatory oversight to the state's Alcoholic Beverage Control Agency, and requires retailers to obtain liquor licenses. Supporters argue these measures are needed to regulate intoxicating hemp drinks and keep them out of the hands of minors. However, the hemp industry warns the bill could harm Kentucky's $330 million market and force businesses to close. A separate bill, House Bill 775, also proposes increasing taxes on hemp beverages, further fueling industry concerns. Both bills now await Senate approval and possible gubernatorial review.
Maryland lawmakers are advancing a bill to protect firefighters and rescue workers from employment discrimination related to off-duty medical cannabis use. Senate Bill 1023 passed the Senate Finance Committee and now moves forward in the legislative process. The bill ensures first responders with valid medical cannabis certifications cannot be penalized solely for testing positive for THC metabolites, provided they are not impaired while on duty. If enacted, the law could impact workplace cannabis policies and medical cannabis access across Maryland.
Minnesota lawmakers are moving forward with legislation to expand expungement eligibility for marijuana-related convictions. Senate Bill 204, which received unanimous approval from the Senate Judiciary Committee, aims to ensure individuals with past cannabis offenses can seek record relief, provided their convictions did not involve weapons or violent acts. The measure also clarifies the role of the state's Cannabis Expungement Board, which has faced challenges in reviewing certain cases due to legislative oversights. If passed, the bill could take effect later this spring, further advancing Minnesota's cannabis justice reforms.
The New York Senate is advancing a bill aimed at protecting medical marijuana patients from eviction. Senate Bill 3689, approved by the Senate's Housing Committee, would ensure that landlords cannot remove tenants solely because of their legal use of medical cannabis. The measure clarifies existing tenant protections and allows patients to use their certification as a legal defense in eviction cases. However, the bill does not override federal housing laws, which still prohibit cannabis use in federally subsidized housing. Lawmakers and advocates say the legislation is a necessary step to ensure housing stability for medical marijuana patients in New York.
Ohio lawmakers are advancing Senate Bill 86, which aims to regulate intoxicating hemp products, including Delta-8 THC, by restricting sales to state-licensed dispensaries and imposing a 15% tax. The bill would also ban sales to those under 21 and require strict testing, packaging, and labeling standards. Supporters, including Governor Mike DeWine, argue the bill will prevent misleading marketing and protect consumers. However, hemp retailers warn the legislation could hurt small businesses and drive consumers toward illicit markets or neighboring states. The bill also includes provisions for drinkable cannabinoid products, allowing them to be sold in bars, restaurants, and craft breweries under a $3.50 per gallon excise tax.
Oregon's Secretary of State has withdrawn a controversial audit of the state's Liquor and Cannabis Commission, following ethics concerns tied to former Secretary Shemia Fagan. The audit, released in 2023, recommended modernizing cannabis laws, but came under scrutiny when it was revealed that Fagan had financial ties to LaModa, a major dispensary chain regulated by the OLCC. Secretary Tobias Reed stated that flaws in the audit selection process, combined with public records showing industry influence, undermined its credibility. While the decision removes the report from public records, Reed confirmed that a new audit may be conducted under stricter oversight.
The National Cancer Institute, a division of the National Institutes of Health, has introduced new restrictions on publishing marijuana research, requiring special approval for studies on cannabis and other controversial topics. Researchers warn the policy could slow progress in medical cannabis research, particularly in understanding its effects on cancer patients. While the NCI acknowledges that up to 40% of cancer patients use cannabis to manage symptoms, scientists fear that government interference could limit the timely dissemination of critical findings. As federal marijuana laws continue to evolve, the directive raises concerns about scientific transparency and access to cannabis-related medical data. And now, a word from our partners.
The cannabis industry is thriving, but it comes with its fair share of financial and regulatory hurdles. That's where Buds Group steps in. We simplify your back-office operations, handling everything from fundraising to payment solutions to HR services, so you can focus on growing your business. Our award-winning Accounting Buds division provides expert accounting and advisory services tailored to your needs. Are your taxes higher than you? Let us help. Visit us at budsgrp.com. That's budsgrp.com.
Australia's Greens Party is renewing its push for cannabis legalization, citing fresh economic projections from the Parliamentary Budget Office. The latest estimates suggest a legal recreational market could generate $700 million in tax revenue annually, significantly lower than previous figures. The Greens argue that legalization would shift profits from organized crime to public services, such as healthcare and education. However, major parties, including the ruling Labour Party and the opposition coalition, remain opposed, citing concerns over health risks and legal feasibility. With an election looming, the fate of cannabis reform in Australia may hinge on the next government.
This was the State of Cannabis News Digest, available weekly. You can listen to us on all main podcast platforms. To make sure you don't miss out on the latest updates and in-depth analysis of the cannabis industry, be sure to subscribe to our podcast. By subscribing, you'll get notifications for each new episode, helping you stay informed and ahead in the ever-evolving cannabis market. Join us next Saturday for more insights. Until then, keep thriving and stay green.